All right. Just a mild heart attack. YouTube did that thing where as soon as you hit the start streaming button, it says, oh yeah, streaming is not available right now. And then you just have to wait. And then it gets better. All right, here we are, folks. Hope you're all doing well. Colin, good morning from Ottawa. VJ Morph, howdy. Fungazi, how you doing in pre-Nova, Washington, D.C.? Be there in 3 days or whatever. Comp Native, howdy. Feisty Crabman, howdy. Nick Jones, hi from a decidedly autumnal Brigand. Yeah, it was on Wednesday. It hit a high of like 97 or 98 degrees Fahrenheit. This morning when I woke up, it was 58 degrees Fahrenheit. It's been weird. Let's see here. Connecticut, Townsville, Peoria, Dayton, Tennessee, Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'll be in Fort Wayne, Indiana in early September for the Alliance Trade Show. Delaware. Y'all see the new Space Marine gameplay trailer? I saw some of the stuff from Gamescom or whatever it's called. It looks pretty good. I'm looking forward to it myself. Quickly heating Oklahoma. Well, I hope it gets better soon, BF Bulldog. Fall is coming. Whether we like it or not, it's coming. Eureka, California. How you doing? Woodbury, Tennessee. Cool and overcast West Midlands. There you go. Sunny Belgium. Wilmington, Minnesota. Quebec. Windsor, Connecticut. Assembling some STLs. No need for gluing. Nice. Ohio. Germany. Morning from DC Metro, home of Nova Open. Indeed. Let's see here. Tampa, Virginia Beach, North Chicago, Waukegan. Gotcha. Rhode Island, California. Oops, everything moved. Australia, Portland, Singapore, Saskatchewan. Always fun to say Saskatchewan. Savannah, Georgia. Humidity and 100-degree weather. See, that's no fun. Yeah. Like we had, like I said, it was real hot and humid on Wednesday. It's supposed to be middle of Sunday night in middle of Australia. Gotcha. Good morning from hot Houston, Texas. Heading to ReaperCon. Nice. So ReaperCon must be the same time as Nova then, if it's this upcoming, well, next weekend, meaning like not this upcoming weekend, but the weekend after, or is it the one that's upcoming? Good morning from Mexico City. Fleetingly gorgeous Orange County, California. Going to be a hot one. Well, yeah. Massachusetts, Bristol, Lima, Peru. How you doing? De facto surface of the sun, Tennessee. Helsinki. Painting Nurgles over here. I've been painting Nurgles, well, one Nurgle, quite a bit. Looking forward to it being done. Cologne, Germany. South Ontario, very autumn-like here today. Nice. Sunny, cool Mitten. There you go. Sunny Toronto. West Texas, finishing up painting miniatures from Dead by Daylight for my son. That's is it like a board game or is it like more of a miniature game? I've heard about it. I mean, I've heard about the video game, obviously, but Nottingham, just up the road from GW. Nice. Cloudy and refreshing Quebec. Sisters of Battle Tank. Nice. Indianapolis, home of Gen Con. I was just there 3-4 weeks ago or whatever it was now. 3 weeks ago, I guess. Had a good time. And the weather didn't suck too much, so that was good too. Did rain at one point, but we were indoors while it happened, and it was fine. South Jersey, working on spackle basing today. Nice. Good morning from Boston. Pumped for Nova this week. Absolutely fist and stone. Hi from Germany. How you doing? Martinsburg, West Virginia. Sydney, Australia. ReaperCon and Nova are the same weekend. Oh, okay. It's so odd when that happens. It happens, the same thing happens with Adepticon and GaryCon and PAX East. It's kind of weird. Morning from Winnipeg. If you enjoy indie games, go check out Ash at Guerrilla Miniature Games. His channel is in a bit of trouble. I watched the video actually last night. I watched Ash's video. long story short is that building he's in, I don't know if he owns it or if he was subletting the like warehousey part. He was in the officey kind of part, and then there's a warehouse part, and there was a company that was using that part, and then that company moved away, or there's some sort of thing that happened, and so they're not there anymore. So now he doesn't have that tenant, and so he is planning on moving into the bigger area and building himself a bigger studio, because you know all the great battle reports that you see Ash doing are all done in this relatively tiny little space. And now he's going to have some more space, but you know he's also concerned about not having a tenant and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, go check out that video if you get the chance. He's a good dude, and I'd like to see him be able to keep doing what he's doing. Let's see here. Good morning from Non-Gamma hosting Lexington, Kentucky. You're right, it's Louisiana. I got him confused. Almost made it on time. Darn old, outdated computer. Anyway, greetings from very damp and cool mid-Michigan. Nice. Greetings from LA. Hello from Eudora. Kickstarter painting some Necrons this morning. Or no, not Kickstarter. Kansas, I bet. Eudora, Kansas. That's what that is. Building a brass scorpion for Heresy. Nice. Dead by Daylight is a board game. Gotcha. Good morning from the northern part of the panhandle of Florida. I'm procrastinating, getting ready to change the fluid in my car's transmission. It's hot out there. Yeah, no, I would bet so. Hope you're having a good weekend. So far, I did a bunch of organization yesterday. Generally because I was looking for something that I think I seem to have lost. I don't know. I got these cool little like basing pieces from Ninjan when I was there last year, actually right around this time. It was the 26th of August. So it was a year ago. And I got these little cool basing pieces that he had 3D printed from a company called Epic Basing. And they were very cool. So I was going to use them for my my display piece thing that I'm doing for Nova. And I'd gone through the little Ziploc baggie and I separated out the ones that I wanted just for the thing. And I'm pretty sure I put them in a separate Ziploc baggie and then put them someplace where I wouldn't forget. And then they're gone. So I either put them in a really stupid place that I wouldn't forget, or, which is possible completely, or they at some point fell into the garbage and then got thrown away. That's a possibility as well. But otherwise, I don't know. I looked and looked and looked. Now, I can find the original baggie that has like a bunch of pieces. So what I ended up having to do is go through and find pieces that were going to work, but probably weren't going to work as well. And those are the ones that are going on the base now. And then after that, I worked on, constructing the base and doing all that kind of stuff. And I kept painting on the model here and there. And hopefully today I'm going to get to prime the base. I don't know. We'll see. It's all, I want it to be done. I'm tired of painting this model for so long. Ugh. But otherwise, not so bad. Yep. Columbus, Ohio. How you doing? DJ Todd P. Harris. Looking good this morning. Glad to see you here from Norfolk. Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad you're here. Hi from Thailand. Just played a Warcry tournament on Saturday. Played 3 games in one day. A lot of fun. Nice. That sounds fun. I hope you did well. Or I hope you had a good time, really, is the most important thing. Allison Silverhair. Good morning, hobby friends. How you doing? Name of the channel we should check out? Oh, Gorilla Miniature Games. Gorilla, not like the primate, but like, well, I mean, technically gorillas are also primates. But gorilla, like, freedom fighter type gorilla. Ash from Gorilla Miniature Games. That's his channel. He's been doing videos for years and years and years, but he just recently did a post about kind of a state of the channel kind of situation. So, good evening from Perth. First time catching you live after many years of watching your videos. Well, we're glad to have you here, Hamish. Currently enjoying the experience of painting the brass trim of Khorne Berserkers. It is a thing, isn't it? Yes, I know what you mean. Good morning from West Virginia. How you doing, Space Gamer? More folks from Hampton Roads is always good. There you go. Got some kitty boxing going on over there for some reason. Your Friday video got me pining for a Space Hulk reissue. Again? Yeah, no. I mean, everybody does. really, want there to be a new Space Hulk. And I thought, well, maybe if I just make a video about it, maybe that'll help. It probably won't, but maybe. Or, again, like I said, the thing that'll probably help most is if I sit down and paint the new Space Hulk and then get it finished, and like the day after, then they're going to be like, hey, guess what? There's a new Space Hulk with all new sculpts. And I'll be like, anyway. Really enjoyed the Space Hulk video. My first gen is around here somewhere. Models are not great. Yeah, no, I have actually painted that for a friend of mine, my friend Peter, who taught me how to play originally on his first edition. Years after college, he was like, hey, can you help me paint this? And so it was real super simple, like some spray can stuff and some washes and a little bit of dry brushing and things like that. But yeah, those models are not great for sure. I was working on repainting some of my Battlefleet Gothic ships in the GW store yesterday. Nice. Have you 3D printed anything yet? If not, I understand your hesitancy. I unfortunately have not really had the time. And I also have this real bummer, kind of, in that I have a very good friend of mine who lives like 3 blocks away who is kind of starting a 3D printing business. So I just email him STLs, and then after he prints it, I ask him how much he wants in PayPal, and he frequently even drops it off on my back stoop. So it's it's made the need for 3D printing on my end a little bit less, obviously. Like I had him before Gen Con, I had him 3D print me in this box. There are 92 or 95 of the exact same kind of cobblestone 32 millimeter base. So a whole bunch of them in there. And after I get back from Nova, and then I got to go to that trade show in Fort Wayne. After I get back from that, my plan is to go through and sand all of those down outside. Still wearing a respirator because resin dust is no joke. I was amazed to watch Adam Savage recently. He's been doing this series about they're building like a scale model version of the ship from like the starter ship from the new Starfield game. It's like a sponsored thing they're doing with Bethesda. And they're 3D printing a ton of it, resin and stuff like that. And he is just like sanding away and not wearing a respirator. And I'm like, that's not good. Anyway, my point is I'm going to prime all of those up the same primer, like white, and then I'm going to paint them all of all the Speed Paint 2.0 colors, each one different and all that kind of stuff. So it was just way easier to be like, hey, Dave, can you print these? And then tell me how much it's going to cost. And then boom. So yeah. Hope you have a blast at Nova Open. Perhaps I can make it next year. I'm looking forward to definitely this year just to see what the new place is like, because Nova's been in the same spot for a long time, and this year is in a new spot. It's at the downtown Hilton, so it's actually in DC, not technically in Northern Virginia, aka Nova. So it'll be interesting to check that out. I am not staying in the hotel because they had sold out the convention block, which was like $144 a night. And I was like, so the rooms are all sold out? She's like, oh no, we've still got rooms. They're just not in the convention block. I'm like, all right, how much are the rooms not in the convention block? She's like, $288. So they double. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not going to buy any rooms from you guys. So I'm going to be staying across the street at a hotel. So we'll see how that works out. Are those black-capped chickadees and grasshoppers I hear? Great ambient background sounds. I mean, the window's open, so you're probably hearing definitely crickets. I don't know exactly which birds, but there's a lot of birds out there. We use this app if you're into birds at all, even a little bit, or just bird curious. There's this great app called Merlin like the wizard. It's made by Cornell University, I guess, and it's like Shazam for birds. Have you ever used Shazam, where you like hold up your phone and then it listens to a song for a bit and then tells you the name of the song? It's like that, but for birds. You can press it and hold it up, and then like birds are yammering in the backyard, and it will be like, oh, this is a gray wren, or this is a turkey. We've had a turkey in the yard before, which is weird. But yeah, so it's kind of neat if you're into like going, what is that bird that keeps making that noise? Well, then this app can tell you. It's pretty cool. This is not sponsored by Cornell University or anything like that. Noob Painter, how you doing? That Space Hulk video makes me wonder why most game companies don't revisit older properties. The retro game hobby shows that there is a market for retro. Oh yeah, no, I mean, like it would be. That's the thing. Like even if they just kept the same sculpts and just produced another version of it, just so that it's out there for people to get. Like they don't even have to go through all the rigmarole of making new sculpts. It would make sense to do so since things are so, currently Terminator and Tyranid kind of heavy with the launch of 10th. That would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? But whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It is odd. I don't know what it is. Sounds like this is the start of a journey towards Golden Demon. Oh God, no. Oh no. This will be the last display piece that I paint. It's not been crazy exciting for me. I don't enjoy it. I do want to get into Steel Rift, but since I'm UK side, are there any distributors over here? That's a good question. I honestly don't know. I don't know if they have distributors full stop. Like I don't know if they're in distribution, like normal games, bigger game companies or whatever, hook up with some sort of company that's like the middleman between the game company and the store, and those companies are called distributors. This trade show that I'm going to in Fort Wayne, the beginning of September, that's a distributor trade show. Alliance is the distributor, Alliance Distribution. There's all kinds of companies. Alliance, I don't know if Blackhawk is still around. ACD, that one is one of their. I've been to their trade show before. It's down in Madison, Wisconsin, so it's not very far. Stuff like that, but I don't know if they're through distribution at all. Like me and Vince, our games aren't through distribution. Our games are just sold direct. That's a good question, though. I don't know. I hope it would be nice. I mean, especially since because the models are 3D printed, they could literally just like get the books printed over there, or even just mail over the books, and that's not that much. And then just have this company over in England or UK or whatever, EU or any place overseas. Then they could print the models over there, and then it's not shipping stuff back and forth. All that. Enjoyed your Space Hulk video. Do you think GW will ever re-release it, or should they leave it alone as Warhammer Leviathan seems to be getting mixed reviews? I think that they should do it. I honestly do. I would love to see it. It's a great game. Like I said, it's a great gateway game that gets people into it. It's what got me into, the Warhammer kind of thing. So yeah, I think it'd be smart to do it. You can almost guarantee a reissue of Space Hulk will be the most expensive yet. Well, yeah, I mean, like the last time that they issued it, the last time they produced it was in 2014, which is nearly a decade ago. I mean, it wouldn't be cheaper, that's for sure. You know what I mean? But yeah, it would also be like, here's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, they should make it with plastic bits and instead of the card and all that stuff. And yeah, I don't want that. I honestly am fine with the card. Like it's really nice card. It's really nice and thick, full glossy, embossed, real colorful. But I don't need, I don't need it to be plastic and stuff like that. There are plenty of people out there who are doing that, who are making like 3D printed like tiles basically and all that kind of stuff. That's cool. But I would rather just use the cardboard myself. Morning from San Diego. Going to give Monument Hobbies basing texture a try today. I was using it a good portion yesterday. Has anyone else noticed that the Terminator Librarian from the Leviathan box makes a great Chaos Sorcerer? I could see that, I guess. Swapped out the head, added spikes and extra skulls. I mean, that makes sense, sure. Let's see here. Where are we? Hey from Cloudy Nottingham, how you doing? Painting some first edition AT plastic Warlord Titans. If I hadn't already been collecting multiple armies for multiple games at the time, I would have bought the 96 edition of Space Hulk. Sure. Currently repurposing some old guardsmen to create a Stargrave crew. If all my guardsmen weren't spoken for, then I would definitely have some real grungy ones for a Stargrave crew. That'd be fun. I mean, I could get another box, Lord knows. Starting painting my sister's a battle repressor today. Hello from Ontario, Canada. How you doing, Trixie? Repressor. I don't know if I remember the repressor. Finally got my hobby cave setup finished. Pics in the Discord. Nice. Looking forward to seeing you there. I was able to chat with you about Gen Con. Nice. Yeah, Nova's great. I've enjoyed Nova quite a bit every time I've been there. How many times have I been there? 4, maybe? This is maybe my 5th? Or maybe it's my 4th. It's my 4th or 5th. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm hoping to make it to Nova next year. My friend lives outside DC in Virginia, and it'd be my first convention. Nice. I received a single Majestic 13 card in the mail from DriveThruRPG yesterday. I wasn't expecting it, but it looks like it was a card that was missing from the original deck. It was, yes. When we launched and it hasn't been shipped out to everybody yet, so we haven't made like an announcement yet, but probably this upcoming week or maybe next. They're kind of shipping them out not all at once or something. I don't know. But yeah, when we first launched Majestic 13 and we launched the deck of cards, there was one card missing from the deck. It was an upgrade to a base. So like there are like 5 or 6 different bases. I always forget because one of them is only for the Sanctum. So it's the Holy Ground one. I can't remember if there's 5 plus that one or if there's 4 plus that one. Anyway, so there's, X amount of bases, but then there's also all kinds of different upgrades to bases that you can do. So one of the cards was missing. We just completely, we went through and yep, everything looks right. We did the math and our math was wrong. We needed 51 cards instead of 50. So we discovered that around the 13th or 14th of June, somewhere around there, because a person emailed and said, I can't find this card in my deck. And I went back and looked at the PDF and I was like, son of a... So anyway, what we did is we worked with Wargame Vault to be like, hey, because basically we uploaded a new file that had that stuff. And then, of course, no one could buy the deck for like a week while they go through and make sure that it's not filled with bees. I don't know why it takes so long from the time that we update something to the time that they allow us to print it again. It's just, it's really weird. Anyway, nonetheless, if you bought it without the card, you will get one in the mail. And if you bought it with the card, then you won't. So you don't have to do anything. Initially, we were like, well, maybe we could have people, send us a thing. And then I was just like, Wargame Vault will have the data. I mean, it only takes a couple of SQL statements to figure out who got what when, and then just ship everything to it. So we had a meeting with them during Gen Con, actually, thankfully. And so yeah, you're going to be getting, if you ordered previous to like June 13th or something like that, you'll just get a card in the mail, and it's the extra card that goes with your deck. So there you go. Anyway, this is the type of thing that we, learn, hopefully, so that the next time that we do a game, and they have a companion deck that's available but not required, then, there you go. So, let's see here. Good morning from Pittsburgh. Hope the day finds everyone well in between trips at work. Poking my head in. Well, glad to have you, Life Blighter. This is my first few months getting into Warhammer and Wargaming. It seems to be very exciting times. I mean, there's a bunch of new stuff obviously happening with Warhammer, obviously, and Warhammer is a big, huge part of the industry. But, there's always something going on. If you need tips on restaurants, I live a few blocks from the con. Well, that's cool. It's going to be even closer for you this year. That's pretty cool. I suppose you're probably not even staying at the hotel. You just walk back and forth to the thing. That's pretty convenient. Cheaper, too. Yeah, very possibly. Very possibly. Looking forward to seeing you there. As I get older, the more I don't want to stay at the hotel that houses the convention. Old guy needs his rest. However, Wonderfest is quiet. I mean, this is never, it's never a noise issue, I don't find. Well, every once in a great while, but for the most part, no, it's not that. For this, it was just literally, like, I would have been glad to stay in the hotel, but I didn't think about getting a room until evidently the entire block was sold out, but not the entire building was sold out, not by a long shot, so that's why it was way more expensive. I cringed at the comment storm he was going to get from the unmasked sanding of resin. Yeah, that was, yeah. Birdwatching can be fun, seen a few who take it very seriously, keeping journals. Yeah, my wife's aunt is very much into it. And uncle. Different several different siblings to my wife's father. Merlin app is pretty fun. Yeah, it is neat. It's neat. Let's see here. Good morning from Economawalk. If anyone was wondering how you pronounce that word, it's Economawalk. I'm from Wisconsin, so anything you were specifically jazzed about for Nova? Just seeing friends and you know, I've got several different meetings. Vince and I are doing a seminar on Friday night. I'm 90% sure. We're also guesting on a podcast called Swords and Boards on Saturday night. They're doing a live recording. I don't think it's a live stream, but it's a live recording. And me and Vince are the guests for that. So that's cool. Just a bunch of different things like that. Meeting with some folks from, seeing some folks from Games Workshop that I haven't. Well, to be fair, I saw Andy just at Gen Con, but we'll be hanging out a bit more, which is nice. Andy's a good guy. I'll probably never play Sigmar, but I would love a new Warcry for Cities of Sigmar. Those minis are fancy. Old World's on the horizon too. Yeah, those new minis are pretty fancy. They're nice looking. Found your channel a few days ago and I've been hooked. Well, that's pretty cool to hear. I'm glad. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the hobby. If you're relatively new to the hobby as well, as we were just saying, it's an interesting time. I mean, it's been an interesting time for the last several years, just with like all of a sudden the spread of 3D printing. I know there's some people out there who are like 3D printing is terrible, but it's I think generally because they're looking at it from the aspect of people out there are 3D printing like direct scanned copies of like Games Workshop models or bolt action models or models from some company, and it's like becomes like a piracy thing. I don't look at it that way at all. I look at it as all of a sudden you have access to so many completely custom, super interesting, crazy models from all over the world that would never get produced in plastic or even metal or resin and then, shipped and fulfilled and warehoused and all that kind of stuff. People wouldn't take those kind of chances. But when it's like make an STL and put it up and maybe throw up a Patreon, you can take a lot of chances. So there's a lot of really interesting, crazy stuff out there now. Now, I'm not saying everybody has a 3D printer, obviously, but again, you might have a friend who has one, kind of like I do, and that's actually quite helpful. So, yeah, it's an amazing time as far as that's concerned. Repressor is an old tank, 2006, out of production. Oh, gotcha. Does anyone know if the Bits guy will be at Nova? I mean, he always has been in the past. I'm assuming he will be again this year, but I haven't heard one way or the other. I don't know if they have a vendor like listing on the website. I hope they do. What and where is Nova? Sorry, I'm a noob. No problem. Nova it's called the Nova Open, and it was called Nova because it stood for Northern Virginia. It was in the DC area, like where it had been for like a decade is technically in Northern Virginia, but it's like 4 miles from the White House. The lines are all real screwy around that area. But this year it is now actually in DC proper. It's in the actual metro or whatever. And it is a tabletop, miniatures convention for the most part. It's predominantly all miniatures. I think there's a little bit of board gaming maybe going on here and there, but for the most part, it's all miniatures. Tournaments, demos, vendors, all that kind of stuff. It's probably about creeping up on 3,000 people maybe. But it's one of the bigger, miniatures conventions in the country. You've got that one. You've got obviously Adepticon, which is near the Chicago area. That one's about 6,000 to 7,000 people. LVO, the Las Vegas Open, I would say is another one as well. Probably about the same size as Nova. Less in the way of hobby seminars and things like that. And a little bit less, I think, in the way of vending maybe too. Much more tournament oriented than Nova is. But yeah, so Nova's in DC. Las Vegas Open's in Las Vegas, and Adepticon's in Schaumburg, which is west of Chicago. I've been working on using silly putty to make tiger stripe style camo on some Space Marine vehicles. Never had such an easy time making something look like it was hard to do. I tried doing that with the Guard vehicles that I've been working on recently, the Imperial Guard models, and I just wasn't happy with the result. But I was also trying to not make it... If you press it down to get sharp lines, it works a lot better if you want sharp lines. But if you want that look where it's like like it's camouflage, but the lines aren't sharp. They're kind of blended or softened in some fashion. That's actually hard to do. Like well, I guess it shouldn't be surprising, but it's very hard to do. But that's what I was trying to do, and it wasn't working out. So I kind of gave up and was like, oh, we're just going to paint them all the same color, which is fine. But was there a cricket making noise? Yeah, there's bugs outside. The window's open over there. Once it gets nice out in any fashion, we always like to open the windows because the cats enjoy it. I mean, we enjoy it too, don't get me wrong. I picked up the 2014 Space Hulk box around 2017, cracked the box, and mold caked the inside of the cardboard box. Oh, and there was mold in the cardboard box. Blah. That's no good. It was a humid, friendly local gaming store. It's more of an HLGS, a humid local gaming store. Wow, that's not good. Let's see here. Got my card yesterday. Thank you guys for sending it out. Majestic 13 has been really fun to play. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that people are getting it, and I'm glad you folks are having a good time with it as well. If you're wondering what's Majestic 13, it's the most recent game from Snarling Badger Studios, which is me and Vince. And YouTube's Vince Venturella. We have produced 3 games now at this point. The first one was Rain in Hell, which was demons fighting demons in a post-apocalyptic hell. The second game was called Space Station Zero, where you and your crew are basically trapped on a space station and trying to figure out, can you even get out? It's a lot about exploration and stuff like that. The first game is really versus, person versus person as far as teams are concerned. But we did make an expansion for it, very simple expansion, because a lot of people asked, is there a way to play it solo and co-op? So we did that too, and that's called the Oculus Sphere. Space Station Zero is designed to be played co-op or solo kind of first and versus second. And then our most recent game, which came out back in June, beginning of June, is called Majestic 13. And it's kind of like XCOM meets X-Files. You're hunting UFO creatures or, aliens or whatever. You're a team of 5 covert soldiers and whatnot, and all that kind of stuff. And that game came out, like I said, in the beginning of June. And it was the first time we were ever sold a deck of cards, which you don't need to play. They're kind of a nice to have, but they're a deck of cards. There's 26 different monsters in the game, so you've got a card for each monster. So instead of having to keep the book page open to see the stats and stuff like that, you can just have the card. And then there's also, the kind of a base building component and things like that and whatever. Anyway, if you go to snarlingbadger.com, you can find out more. So if you're into that kind of thing. I should make a button that I could click over here that shows. I should do that. I mean, I have this one here for Twitch. Also, I stream on Twitch, by the way, on Monday nights and on Friday mornings. Although I'll be streaming on Monday night this week, but then not Friday morning because I'll be in DC. Although I might try to stream from the convention if the internet doesn't suck. We will see. But yeah, so that's the thing. Anyway, I should make a button here for the Snarling Badger stuff. One of these days. Let's see here. I saw the 28mm truck Troy Sonic Sledgehammer painted. That's why 3D printing is now appealing to me. I think I saw the thumbnail for that, but I didn't watch the video yet. I usually watch his videos. I just hadn't got there. Greetings from Milwaukee. How you doing? You ever plan on coming to the UK for any cons? My wife and I had kind of thought we were going to go to the UK in the fall of 2020. That didn't work out. So next year's our 20th anniversary, so maybe. I don't know if we would go for a convention. There's a part of me that's like, oh, we should go for Warhammer Fest, but I'm like, the problem is I kind of want to go to Warhammer World and maybe see some people there and maybe even get a cool tour because I'm a fancy YouTube guy or whatever. I don't know. That would be kind of neat. That being said, if you do it during Warhammer Fest, everyone will be busy. So then that's not likely to happen. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. Gasland rocks. We will be back to our regular Friday night Gaslands games in a couple weeks. Gasland is a lot of fun. Told myself I wasn't going to get the cities box /army because guy with sword when there's so many fun monsters out there, but Now I have ordered a Cities box because those models look so good. The models do look like, I was kind of expecting there was going to be like one like real big kind of cool model in there, and there kind of isn't. There's like some dudes on horses, and then everyone else is on foot. Those guys are pretty cool though looking. I'm not going to lie. Any tips on finding local 3D printers? I have a baby pets and life keeping me from getting into it myself. I'd love some OPR minis and others printed. It's a good question. Yeah, I mean, like, I wish that there was like and maybe there is, but like trying to find like people in your area, you know what I mean? Like that would be kind of like an app that, or even a web page that is like, hey, I'm looking for 3D printers in my area and I live in this area. And I go, oh, well, these are the people, you know. We were considering doing something like that for having that be an add-on kind of module for Game 4. We were considering doing that, and also for commission painters, and it just unfortunately got COVIDed. So, you know, used to be a fairly big Nova or Infinity tournament at Nova Open. Yeah, there's also one of the biggest, I think. Oh gosh, what's the heck? Now they call it Middle Earth strategy battle game. But yeah, that, like, last year there was a Middle Earth strategy battle game tournament that was probably 80 people. I mean, it was a good size. It was pretty cool. I wish I took more advantage of cons, but I hate going by myself. Yeah, I can understand that. Just picked up Rain in Hell, first indie game I've tried. Read through the PDF, looks great. Excited to receive the hard copy. Nice, good to hear it. Glad you liked reading it. So I've had a 3D printer for 2 years now, but I haven't used it yet. Weird. I've also done the exact same thing. The only place I can put it is in my bonus room, but my dog stays in there when I'm not home. I'm worried it's too toxic. If you've got some sort of ventilation, that'll help a bunch. But yeah, I drilled a hole in my house for ventilation. But I totally understand the exact same thing. Let's see here. Combat Patrol today? No, I have to go to my mom's after after this. After I'm done here, I have to go to my mom's and help her out with some stuff. So, and then I got to come home and I've got to prime the base for my model and probably keep working on the model itself a little bit. It's getting real close to done and I don't want to overdo it, but I will kind of need to get to that point. I probably also need to, I was thinking about this recently, I probably also need to drill some holes in his feet and put some pins in there so I can pin him to the base when the actual base when the time comes. Right now he's just glued to an old crappy base. I'm just going to snap him off of that base, but I probably should have done that beforehand. I don't know. Let's see here. My eldest and I are playing a full campaign of Majestic 13. We're having a lot of fun at the moment with our two organizations within the larger bureau. Nice. I missed the first 28 minutes. Did I miss any vital gaming news? Probably not. I'm not really so much of a news channel. The card with a sleeve works well for record-keeping monster health, too. Yeah, I could see that for sure. Howdy from Elko, Illinois. Checking in between samples at work today. Nice. Let's see here. I want to get a 3D printer, but I'm going to start with an FDM. I don't want to deal with resin fumes and venting and curing, so this should work well for terrain. Oh yeah, no. I mean, FDM printers are generally really good for terrain. Maybe not so much scatter terrain, like little, mailboxes and pop machines and stuff like that, or whatever that you might, depending on the type of game that you play. But not too bad for that kind of stuff. Never seen you live before. Just wanted to say thank you for the years of great content. Well, I appreciate it. And welcome to the live show. I do these generally every other Sunday. Every once in a while, some sort of weird travel thing screws up the order. Most recently was Gen Con. I couldn't stream because I was in Indianapolis for Gen Con. But then kind of screwing up the order made it so that I don't miss a week because of Nova Open, which I'll be going to this upcoming. I'm leaving on Wednesday, and then so Sunday, this a week from today, I'll be at Nova and be unable to stream then. So it's good there. And then I'm trying to think. I shouldn't have another weird thing until maybe October. In October, I'm going to a convention in Wisconsin, in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, called Dragonfall. September, everything should be good because I'll be home from my. I should be home from my trade show thing in time for the 10th of September, so that's fine. October. Now every other Sunday show will. In October will bump up against the Dragonfall. And I was like, well, maybe I could just do the live show from the hotel room. But the problem is that you have to check out, usually like at 10, maybe 11, and the show ends then. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Everyone, they got the tarot size cards from Majestic 13. Did you get a new card in the mail? I was just talking about that, actually. Yeah. So if you ordered the deck of cards before the 13th of June or so, there was a card missing in the original design. We did the math wrong. We thought there were 50 cards in the deck, but I think there's supposed to be 51 or something like that. So a user, a person who bought it was like, hey, I didn't get this card. And then we went back and looked and go, oh yeah, no, neither did anybody else. So that's on us. So we're working with Wargame Vault to send out the missing card to everybody who ordered up until June 13th or whenever because we uploaded a new version of the deck that had all the cards in it. So anyone who's purchased since then doesn't have to worry about it. But people who purchased previous to the 13th or 14th of June, you folks will be getting a new card in the mail. So there you go. Only place I could use a resin printer is the kitchen, as it's the only chamber with a flat floor and a window. Huh. Can use Zenithal Prime with silver and white over that. I'm wanting to do Drukhari and Sisters of Battle black tinted armor. So silver is the base instead of black, and then white over the top of that. That'd be interesting. I don't know how it would look. If it was me, I would test it on some old junky model that I don't like, just to kind of see what it's going to do. Or do you mean you're going to prime it black and then silver and then white for the highlights? You could do that too, but again, you may want to test going back and forth. Putting a metallic over black, I've done that tons on Necron stuff and things like that. It works great. Sometimes I dry brush it on, sometimes I airbrush it on, depends on the model. But putting white over a silver metallic, it's an interesting concept. It's like an extreme highlight almost, but I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know how that would look. Maybe you invented something new. You know what I mean? It'd be kind of cool. Every time I hear about the app that you were making, I find its features amazing. What would it take to get that started back up? A bunch of money, unfortunately. Yeah, not me, I didn't, but the company that I worked for at the time, who we were building it, we spent a lot of money because it was a lot of programming time for the different programmers that basically got paid to work on it. Now, if we were to do it again, it would be cheaper to some degree because we would do it. We wouldn't have to do it when we did the original game. When we did the original app, we made a version for Android and a version for Apple for iOS, and they were different. We didn't, they were what you would call native. So there were programming languages or programming libraries I'm the designer, so I don't really know all the terminology, but there were things out there where you could design it in one place and then have it make versions for multiple things, but they generally all sucked. So we didn't ever do that. We always made everything native so that, it worked right on the operating system it was designed for. After we launched the game, though, Google came out with something where they bought it off of somebody else or whatever. It was called Flutter. And Flutter was like really the first like really good package where you could design it in one place and it would make it for, it could transfer over to iOS, to Android, to PC, to web, like all that stuff. So the plan was to redo it originally in Flutter after the pandemic, and then it just became a situation of like just the money was just like, yeah, you know. So I don't know. Maybe hopefully somebody. I know that there is one coming out soon. There's an app coming out soon called VoxLink. You go take a look at their website. It's not launched yet. I think it's supposed to be coming in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, VoxLink, which is strangely also only oriented towards wargamers right now. Like when we launched ours, we were like, everybody, we want, you know, board gamers, we want RPG folks, we want everybody to fill up this database. And these guys are like, we're just focusing on wargamers to start, which it's not the way I would do it, but you know. Should you wear a respirator for priming and painting with an airbrush? Yes. Yeah, I always do. I always just put on it. I mean, it's an inexpensive kind of respiratory thing that I got, you know, at Harbor Freight or whatever for $20. And I wear that all the time when I'm doing it. It's not fumes that you're worried about with your airbrush. It's particulate. You know, you're spraying this stuff and it's like there's a little paint dust basically floating around a bit and things like that. And you don't want that stuff in your lungs. So yeah, it's not like a smell or like a fume like that where you have to get like really expensive ones. I mean, even honestly, like a relatively okay type of COVID mask, like like an N95, one of those or something, would also work just as fine. You don't need the ones with the big doohickeys on the side and the rubber and all that stuff. But yeah, you're just basically trying to keep out particulate. So. Tried to do some scatter terrain on my FDM printer and it turned out pretty well. Didn't know if it was the file or the settings. It was the Fallout Wasteland Warfare vending machine and refrigerator. Nice. I mean, yeah, you can. You certainly can. It's just that I think it works better on bigger buildings, but if you've got a decently dialed in FDM printer, then you can do scatter terrain with it for sure. Just got my card in the mail yesterday. Well, that's good to hear. Took your advice and got a silicone poppet from the local dollar store, and it works great, especially for touch-ups when you don't need the wet palette. Yep, I can see that. Depends on what kind of paint is being airbrushed. Respirators can't hurt. I agree. Primed my first batch of resin minis yesterday after 2 years of research and learning. Full build plate of modern combat minis to use the Majestic 13 in other games. Nice. Very cool. Oh, printed, not primed. Sorry. Printed my first batch. Nice. I have Raging Heroes STLs, which look amazing on their website. Can't wait to print them out, but I don't have a setup for printing yet. Gotcha. Do you have to thin air paints before using an airbrush? I don't. The Army Painter air paints. See, I mean, it depends on the company, I guess. The only airbrush paints really that I use anymore are the ones made by the Army Painter. The Army Painter air paints is what they call them, are spectacular. I love them. Partially because you don't have to thin them and they go on really nice and smooth and they're just and also because of the way that they do the colors, that kind of triad system. Other companies do that here and there, like Reaper's been using triads for years. It's really easy to make things kind of match where you're like, okay, I have this dark red and now I want to highlight it with a lighter red. And if you are just like, well, I'll just find another red, you might be doing like a hue shift, meaning that you might go from a red that is maybe more of a bluish red, and then you do a highlight with like a warmer red, like a red that you know, on the spectrum, red will then go towards like an it's like red. So it's Roy G. Biv, right? You ever heard that about the rainbow, like the spectrum? So it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. That's the way it kind of works. So as a red gets warmer, it heads over towards the orange. But if a red goes the other direction, because the red, it's not just a spectrum that way, it's technically more of a circle, it comes back around to being like a bluish, purplish kind of red. So there's like cooler reds and warmer reds. All that to be said, the idea is that when you use a triad, it's, if you're old enough like me, you might remember Garanimals when you were a kid. These were clothes for kids that if you bought the green tiger shirt and a pair of green tiger pants on the tag, they matched because they were designed to match. It's kind of like that. So basically, you know, knowing that this triad, they're matched together. This is the highlight. This is the, you know, especially with certain colors like red. People are like, oh, if I just want lighter red, I just add white to red. No, that turns pink and then it looks real weird. So instead you tended to go more towards the orange to do highlights, whereas in other colors you don't do that. Maybe you do add a little bit of white or whatever. But the triad thing is real nice, and I've been a super big fan of that stuff. Airbrushed for years in the laundry room that had a bathroom exhaust fan, no problem. Currently, I airbrush my garage with the door cracked a few inches. I use I bought one of those hoods, one of those, like, they're designed for airbrushes and they're like portable to some degree. They kind of fold out, and it's got like a kind of like a furnace filter in it and a fan, and it sucks through there, and that works great. And like that helps to get, you know, I'm finding that, like, because before that I would be airbrushing in that room and things would get dusty, and then you'd have to go around and kind of wipe things up every once in a while, and you'd have just all this paint dust all over your cloth. But it wasn't the end of the world. I was still wearing a respirator anyway. Even with this stuff, and now when we turn on that fan and it's sucking the stuff in, I still wear the respirator just to be safe, but I'm also finding I'm not getting paint dust everywhere anymore because of that. It's getting sucked into that filter. So good morning from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm finishing the Leviathan box today. It's been a long journey. I wish I could play with gray plastic, but I'm not that kind of player. Yeah, I'm not a fan of doing it either, I'll be honest. Used to be, but not so much. Morning, Uncle Adam and minions from a sunny Ontario, doing a pecan pellet smoked pork shoulder with molasses and mustard glaze today. My goodness. Spend a few minutes adjusting the straps on your respirator mask, and you won't mind wearing it for an extended time. Yeah, the one that I've got is pretty comfortable, honestly. What I do, though, every single time I pick it up, because I've got it sort of set on the floor next to my airbrush area there, I pick it up. There's like the rubber thing that goes over your mouth like this, right? And it's kind of like curled back, like the flaps of it, so it's not, so it's like, you know, it's rounded or what. Anyway, I always peel back those flaps on the inside and look just to make sure there's not a centipede in there, or a spider, or for a snake. I mean, there wouldn't be snakes, I don't think, but like, it's a basement, so there are spiders and centipedes. That's just the way basements work. And I'm just like, I don't ever want to just be like, hey, I'm going to take this cup and put it over my face that's now got a centipede in there. That's a terrible thing. So I always check, because I have picked up things before. I picked up a box recently that had paints in it, and I picked it up and a centipede like jumped out of it. And I'm like, first of all, I didn't know centipedes could jump. I guess it makes sense though. But yeah, so nonetheless, I should just get a hook and hang it from there, but I would still check, because I don't know, centipede could still go in there. Let's see here. The Army Painter triads are far too close. I mean, I don't think I find that personally. I do find that I almost never use all three of them on something. Generally, what I do when I'm using the Army Painter triads is I will paint a thing, I'll prime a thing a color, and then I will either use the base and then the mid as the highlight, or I'll use the mid, you know, as the first zenithal over the primer, and then the high as the highlight, because there's always a base, a mid, and a high for each one. And I have a tendency to do that to be a little bit more subtle, I guess. So maybe that's just, I like it because it's a bit more subtle. I don't want it to be too crazy, like if they were like too much different between the three of them as far as the actual value, I guess, you know, how bright or dark they are, light value. I think that would be too much. So yeah, no, I haven't found that myself personally, but it's personal preference, I suppose. Maybe if I can run power to my shed, I can set up my 3D printer in there. I have a garage, but I store old cars in there, and I'm paranoid about how fumes might affect the paint and the upholstery. Depends, I guess, on how big the room is. Spiders. Yeah, no, nobody wants that. Always check the respirator before airbrushing, especially if you're from Australia. Also bad, yeah. There's probably like a drop bear in there or something like that. Who knows? I get those house centipedes in my basement. Always creep me out. Yeah, centipedes are creepy. I'm not going to lie. The perils of basement hobbying. It's true. That and spider webs. Like, it's just constantly like, oh, there's more spider webs. More spider webs. I would like spiders just fine if they wouldn't leave their spider webs all, like if they picked up after themselves. That'd be great. Also, there was one that frequently used to poop on my laptop. Like, have you ever seen like just weird little dots on stuff, like just weird, like little white and gray, like sometimes dots, and you'd be like, what is that? That's spider poop. Their spider was up above there eating a bug or whatever, and then they just kind of poop these little dots out, and they land, and they're kind of wet, and it's, well, they're not, they, by the time you see them, they're probably dry, but yeah. So there was, I had this laptop that I was using. It was plugged into like a monitor, so the top was closed, and one day I'm just like, there was little dots all over the top of it, and I was just like, stupid jerk spider. But yeah, if they would just not, if they would just use the bathroom like a normal person, and they would pick up after themselves and get rid of those stupid, spider webs, which don't seem to work very well. I don't know. That'd be great. But they don't ever want to, they don't ever want to have a conversation with me about it. They don't ever, I send out meeting invites. They never show. Or they do, but they're just up in the corners. Centipedes Can't Jump should be a movie. It'd be a scary movie. I don't think that's a good idea at all. New fear unlocked. Sorry, but it's something to think about, though. It's supposed to store respirators in a bag. It helps preserve the filter and also keeps out critters. Yeah, the one that I got, now that you mentioned it, did come in a big, weird foil Ziploc. I've been thinking about getting a new one anyway, just because this one's, I've been using it for, I don't know, 8 years or whatever. Like, I'm sure that the filters because the filters are to some degree designed to help with fumes, and I'm sure they don't help with fumes anymore. They've, but I'm sure they still help with particulates just fine. I wouldn't think that over time the filters would like get bigger holes in them so particulates could get through, but they would not suck the fumes out of the air as easily. But I'm not, I said, like, concerned about fumes. I'm more concerned about the paint particulate, which is like big dust. Made a cheap paint hood with a bathroom exhaust fan and a plastic storage container. Oh yeah, no, there's lots of plans out there for people doing that kind of stuff, videos about it. It's pretty cool. It was supposedly a very food hot dog restaurant, but it closed before I had a chance to go and visiting folks. I think I missed something there. Spent time in a desert, always check your stuff for bugs. No, that's true. House centipedes kill spiders, they're your friends. So there's like a little tiny war going on in the basement. It's interesting. Oops. Sorry, little girl. Oh. Well, that's a cute. Yeah, that's a American goldfinch. I'm pretty sure what that is. Margot just jumped up into a basket, but I had something set in the basket that she couldn't see, and then she had to reconfigure. But now she's stalking some yellow and black birds on the bird feeder outside. I mean, she can't get at them, but she's watching them and chittering at them. Centipedes can jump? Well, maybe jump or just controlled falling, but it was in the box that I picked up, and then it was like, blah, and it like took off. So that was spooky. And that's how Uncle Adam got his radioactive centipede powers. That's like the worst. I don't think I want to be a centipede man. Like my shirt today it says covered in spiders, man, and it's Spider-Man and he's covered in spiders. But it's not the same thing with centipedes, I don't think. No scorpions, but redbacks. I don't even know what that is. House centipedes are friends. Other centipedes, definitely not. I mean, I've heard of people getting bitten by house centipedes before. I swear. I think. But they are spooky. I don't like them. Imagine how much you could accomplish with centipede powers. That would be creepy, though. Still, to have like that many arms? I don't know. What's going on here? Let's see. House centipedes. You can get the Army Painter Air complete set for $242 in the US from Gnomish Bazaar. 126 paints. Sounds about right, I think, yeah. Would buying 2 Leviathan boxes and 2 Indominus boxes be worth it in 2023 after already getting 2 Leviathan boxes? I mean, worth it for what, I guess is the question. So if you already have 2 Leviathan boxes and you want to buy 2 more Leviathan boxes, you're going to have a lot of Terminators and a lot of Tyranids and all that kind of stuff, you know. And then also getting 2 Indominus boxes. I mean, you'd have even more Space Marines. Like, if you were basically trying to build a good size, like a really big Space Marine army, and also a pretty good size Tyranid army and a decent sized Necron army, then yeah, I mean, it would be a good thing. But I guess the question is, you know, what's your plan there, I guess, is the question. That's the, yeah. Come for the hobby talk, stay for the spider poop stories. Yeah, I mean, kind of. Centipede scenario reminds me of Chekhov in Star Trek. Ooh. My writing spider takes down his web every couple of days. That's very nice. I mean, a nice considerate spider I'd be like happy to live with. Excited to go to my first Blood Bowl tournament this October. Such a fun game. Nice. Wargamer Girl had a rant about centipedes on her channel this week. Yeah, that centipedes are gross. Yeah, they're scary, and I know they're probably not bad for you or whatever. I don't know, but still, they spook me out. I think I'm going to see her at Nova. I'm 98% sure she's going to be there. I haven't seen her in person since, I think, pre-pandemic. I want to say it was maybe Adepticon 2019. Goodness gracious. Girly. This is Margot, and she is jumping on the table. Watch out. Watch out. Jesus. Oh, Lord. Okay. There. I moved that. I put that there, didn't I? No. How are you going to get on the table? Filter's going to filt. Indeed. No. Stay down. It's right there. We have you a cat bed right there so you can hang out near me. But you're just like, nope, I want to be up on the dining room table. No, stay over there. How about if I just pet you a bunch? Being clean shaven gives a better seal. I've heard that. That's probably true. Scorpions like shoes. Yeah. Cats like shoes too. If you get enough particulate in there, you're going to reduce the good airflow. That's probably true. Yeah, I could see that. Over time, it would probably reduce airflow to some degree, but it's not going to let in more particulate. So yeah, I probably should replace it. Or at the very least, maybe just get new filters if I can find them. But like I said, I got it at, it was super cheap. I got it at Harbor Freight. No, she is the naughtiest. Don't go behind the computer. She's going to unplug something unintentionally. There, my wife has saved the day. Game idea. Based on The Incredible Shrinking Man, minifigures are life-size. Monsters are spiders, mice. Terrain is the real basement. I swear to gosh, I think that there's a game out there where everyone is a bug. Like, all the different characters are bugs that you play. It's a wargaming skirmish game, and you just play it like on a normal tabletop with like normal stuff on it, coffee cups, you know, whatever. Like, you don't really use terrain. You just use actual household things because it's bugs fighting on your dining room table, being attacked by cats possibly. But it's, yeah. I can't remember the name. It starts with a Z. I want to say it's like Zentradi, but that's from Robotech way back in the day. Zinfandel? No, that's a wine. I can't think of the name of it, but they have a booth usually at either Adepticon or Gen Con, one of the two. I can't remember it. It starts with a Z though. Spiders versus centipedes battle of the basement sounds like a new game idea to me. I mean, you know, you guys should make that. All the factions are Tyranids. I mean, kinda, yeah. Insect Wars, Snarling Badger's next game. Yeah, I don't know about that. Centipedes bite. I keep learning even at 50. I think they do. I swear I've heard about that. When the question becomes which other bugs with ally with flies, sure. Got myself and my 7-year-old badges to Nova Open. Be our first show. Very cool. First contest entries. Oh, that's very cool too. How about a miniatures agnostic game set in a post-apocalyptic Australia, so 2023, where your brave band battles centipedes, redbacks, drop bears, emus, and bogans. There you go. Let's see here. Dollary dues. Anyone get the Space Marine board game from Target in the U.S.? It's for $40. Seems like a great deal with a new Space Marine Lieutenant model, 20 Termagants, and a real nice thick board with Necromunda type print. I've heard about it. I have not seen it. To be fair, I don't think I've been at Target in quite a while, but I should probably look into it. I'm intrigued by the new Osprey game called Doomed. Just the name is attractive. Another small-scale, narrative-driven skirmish game that is supposed to be Kit Basher's dream game. Yeah, I actually picked up a print copy. Okay, so I literally picked up a print copy at Gen Con, but I didn't buy it. I don't know why. I just was looking at it, and I was like, eh. And then it went live over on Wargame Vault, and it's in, I forget, it was like, it got up to number 2 on Wargame Vault. Majestic 13 was still in the first place. But I bought a copy off of Amazon, actually. I bought a print copy on Amazon. And it's interesting. The thing that I'm like, I would want to play it maybe to try it out. The thing that to me is slightly weird is the fact that there's no measurements. Like, there's no measuring for, like, movement or range. Like, range makes sense. Like, we do that ourselves in some of our games. We're just like, you're playing on a pretty small board. You have a gun. It shoots the entirety of the board. It's fine. You know what I mean? Whole concept of, like, oh, your pistol is only effective 12 inches. And you look at, like, the scale and go, that doesn't make sense. But, you know, again, it's a game. It's kind of abstract. I get that. So what we do is just go, look, your gun basically shoots the whole thing or whatever. And so... But that's not exactly what they're doing. They're just like ranges and even movement distances don't matter. It's kind of an interesting concept. So I haven't gone through it in depth, but it's, you know, it's an Osprey book, so it's got decent artwork for the most part and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever end up playing it, but I wanted to kind of take a look at it and check it out. So after Gen Con, I, for whatever reason, just didn't seem to buy it at Gen Con. I thought I'd order a copy on Amazon. Zinvaded. That's the game about bugs playing it. Zinvaded. I was like, yeah, there you go. Zinvaded. That's the game. About 3 months ago, I came to use my respirator, and once on, I felt something crawling across my mouth. I was ready to set the whole place on fire. Yeah, no, that's no good. That's why you look inside there. Haven't opened it. Couldn't find it at local Target, so I just ordered it from their website. Gotcha. Speaking of conventions, have you ever thought about going to Historicon? Mostly historical, only about 4,000 attendees. I haven't. Or, well, have I thought about it? Maybe I've thought about it, but I've never gone. But I don't even know when or where it is, so that's always kind of an issue too. I'm not super into historical games. That's part of the issue, I think, is that what I'm not, you know. But I know that I've, like, some of those, like, Cold Wars, Little Wars, one of those wars conventions is, like, not all, you know, historical. Some of them are starting to have some other non-historical games too, which is cool. Happy Sunday. Also, go behind the computer. Chaos Madness Cats. Oh, she's chaos. All right. just adopted a second cat and they do not want to get along, it usually takes some time, and they will either become great friends or at least okay with each other, hopefully. You know what I mean? That's generally the case. Not always, but, hopefully. All of our cats are basically okay with each other. There's sometimes a little bit of scuffling going on here and there, but they're basically okay with each other, which is weird because two of them are sisters who used to be better friends. And then, I don't know, somebody said something or there was a fight, and now they're not necessarily as snuggly as they used to be together, but it's a bummer, but there you go. Cat's gonna cat, indeed. Zinvaded, it's all bugs. Yep, that's the game. And like I said, I can't remember if I saw them most recently at Gen Con or if it was at Adepticon. Might have been Gen Con, though. One of the main reasons for filter changes is the risk of mold from the respiratory moisture. I hadn't thought of that either. It's a good point. You can mitigate with hydrogen peroxide, high percentage isopropyl alcohol, and dry storage with silica gel. Huh. I should probably just get new ones anyway. I don't know what made me think this, but I thought that our local Harbor Freight had closed, and then it hadn't. Like, I just, I didn't drive by that much, but I swear I saw a sign that they were going out of business, and I was like, oh, that's a bummer. And it was like sometime around the earlier days of the pandemic, and then, I don't know, like 2 months ago, I was driving by, and they're like, hiring. And I was like, wait, I thought the place went out of business. And then I went in there, and no, it never went out of business. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. So, yeah. Micronauts were the best. I remember those. Yeah. Any plans for a vendor hall highlight show? I don't know. It depends on how big it is. Previous years at the old facility, the vendor hall's never been huge. I would say the vendor hall is smaller than Adepticon's for sure, because again, Adepticon's twice as big as Nova at least. So the vendor hall is not particularly big, but on the other hand, it was also dark. So it was really kind of hard to film stuff there because it was like in this sort of weird area, and it was just really always kind of dark and dingy in there. So with the new location, we'll see if it's, a little bit more brightly lit or whatever, then maybe I'll make a video or something like that. I think I'm going to try to do probably some more YouTube shorts while I'm there at the convention again. I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. See how those work out. Uncle Adam, my table is always covered in wargaming terrain, so that'd be accurate for them to fight over. Sure, I mean, that's a different story than altogether. Bought mine at Target. I am likely going to buy a second one from Target when I get paid next, so I can customize in the second lieutenant and have 2 boards and a term gun horde. That's pretty cool. Bug Wars rule set using real bugs. That doesn't sound like much fun. I plan on using the extra arms from the last Space Marine Lieutenant model that I have. Nice. I like to paint my own scheme, and historical games don't seem to like that very much. Some can be like that for sure. Guy who designed Doomed did an interview with On Tabletop where he explained the reasons for no measurements, worth listening to. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Like I said, it's an interesting concept. I was like, at first blush, I was like, I don't understand it, but I'll have to maybe watch that interview. You can teach a dog not to eat my other pet. Can't teach a cat to leave it. Is there a good video guide on how to play 40k Kill Team Warcry? Reading the rules and not having anyone show you how to play is a tough hill to climb for me. I've not done one, but I'm sure that there are. If you just go into YouTube and you type in like how to play Warhammer 40k 10th edition, that's the most recent edition, I'm sure you'll find videos about that. Same with Kill Team and Warcry. I find that what helps me is I read the rules. They don't make any sense. Then I sit down and either with a friend or even just by myself, just playing both sides to try to get the hang of it, I try to struggle my way through the game going, okay, and like you start with the first part. Well, this is okay, initiative or whatever. And I got, okay, so what do I do? Okay, I do this. And you basically struggle through reading working off the instructions, struggle through your first game, and then go back and start reading the book again. And all of a sudden it will click so much better. Like, basically, like, and that's the benefit is you have somebody to show you, then you don't have to struggle through as easily. But getting through a game, whether you're doing it by yourself and it takes some time and it's versus having somebody play the game with you who knows how, either way, getting that first game out of the way, when you go back to read the book and the instructions again, all of a sudden it makes so much more sense. It's just really like kind of an important thing. There's rarely, I mean, there's probably some people out there who have brains designed this way who can like read the instructions and then just know how to play right off the bat. But most people are like, it doesn't make any sense to me yet. And then you struggle your way through a game and then you come back and then you're like, okay, now it makes a lot more sense when I read the instructions or the rules or whatever. So that's kind of the way to go. Let's see here. Like a furniture store going out of business. Also, most of those respirator filters are universal sizes. Please no shorts. Those are YouTube cancer. Sorry. The problem is that that's what YouTube wants to show people. So they get pushed in front of people pretty well. They're also a minute or less. So you can also avoid them if you don't want them. Like, I think that like I just saw somebody recently talking about how they were watching a TikTok and it was 7 minutes long. And I'm like, good Lord. Like, that's like, yeah, I there's times when I'm like, I kind of wish that YouTube shorts could be up to 2 minutes, but I kind of see the benefit of making them a minute. Again, here's the deal. People don't watch videos from conventions. When I sit down and make a video, make a 10, 11, 12, 13, 15-minute video about a convention, people go, and then don't watch it. They just don't care. They don't even hit the like button. They just do this like at the screen, go, hey, look, there's a video from Adepticon. And then they just don't watch it. If you go to my channel and you click on the videos tab and it shows you all of my most recent videos, and you say sort by popularity, and then you scroll all the way down to the bottom after it sorts them by popularity, that's where my old convention videos all show up. So the ones I did like 4 videos from Gen Con. They did okay, actually. They were okay, not too bad. But it was just like, oh, here's a bunch of cool shots of the cool Star Wars Legion and Star Wars Shatterpoint tables that they had for their tournaments at Gen Con, which were great looking. And it's just a bunch of shots, some music. You could watch it, go, hey, look at that, bunch of cool buildings. Oh, look at that, Boba Fett, whatever. And then, go on with your day. But that's, yeah. So until YouTube decides that was dumb, let's not do that anymore. I haven't made a ton of them, but it seems like conventions are not a bad place to start. So we'll see. But yeah, no, I mean, some people don't like it. I get it. I totally do. But YouTube is pushing it hard because they want to go up against, they don't want to lose ground against TikTok or whatever. I don't know. So it's a whole thing. Would you suggest using gray primer with a white zenithal when painting brighter colored paint schemes as opposed to using black base primer first? Generally, probably yeah. Although it depends on how much contrast you might want. And when I say contrast, I don't mean contrast paint. I mean, light values between dark and, like, if you want to go with a much higher contrast, kind of bolder look, then you might still want to do the black and white zenithal. The other trick too, and this is something to remember, is that you can make the zenithal as bright or as dark as you want. You start out, you prime that whole thing black. When it's time to start putting white over it, you can sometimes leave a lot of black behind, so there's a lot more shadow in certain areas if you're looking at something a little bit more grimdark or a little bit more grungy. Or you could also just spray a lot more white, and then it'd be barely seeing much of the black. It will still be there in very small kind of little micro areas where it'll be like a little black kind of, almost like black outline underneath where this little ledge was on this thing on the shoulder pad, or, with the armor or whatever, all that kind of stuff. And you'll definitely still probably have it in like between the legs and in the armpits and stuff like that. But it all depends on how much white you want to spray. So it doesn't have to be that gray. It could be black and then spray white and just spray more of it versus then sometimes when you don't. That's also a potential. Hello from pleasantly cool St. Paul. Yeah, it's lovely here right now. It's like 63 and it's only going to hit 72 today, which is just lovely. Vanguard Tactics does how to play for the game in general and for specific factions. Nice. YouTube Shorts. Our ADHD is getting worse. We're just calling it A these days. Huh. My primary gripe with Shorts is the format. Adding the watch V makes them a lot more bearable. I just wish that they would make that default on desktop. What does that do? I guess I don't know what that does. I just got some updated single Majestic 13 card in the mail. I'm guessing a replacement for a misprint. No, it was a missing card. Yeah, actually. Sorry, I got some of my hair on my tongue. Yeah, it was a when we first launched the deck of cards, there was a card missing, which we did not realize until about the 13th or 14th of June, at which point we fixed it. So we've been working with Wargame Vault to get the one card that was not sent in the initial ones to the people who ordered them. So they've been showing up. Been using the YouTube Shorts on my other channel, just 15-second shorts and no talking of antique hit and miss engines. I think I can start calling it hit and miss ASMR. There you go. Shorts are good for the common person if it's entertaining for simple minds and getting likes and subs. The benefit is that, in my opinion, is that it is as opposed to say using some other kind of thing like Reels from Instagram/Facebook or TikTok. The big benefit with the shorts is that when you hit subscribe, you're subscribing to the YouTube channel. Like if you get a bunch of TikTok views and everything, like, wow, I got so many TikTok views. And you're like, yeah, but how many of those people actually came back to your YouTube channel and subscribed? Like that's the trick, for me at least, because I'm trying to push the channel, obviously. If you are just trying to get views in general, or if you're trying to get enough views that you can get, I don't know, sponsorship deals or something. I don't even know how TikTok works on that end. Then great. But if these things get pushed out to people and it maybe hits people who haven't seen my stuff before and they're like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and they hit subscribe, then yeah, it makes sense to me. Any thoughts on Titan Terrain's pop-up wargaming mats? I think I saw a picture of them someplace. They're like, it's like a pop-up book, but it makes like little castles and stuff like that, and then you use them for wargaming. I think I've seen something like that. I have pictures online somewhere. If you think shorts and TikTok are ADHD, you don't remember Vine. True. Yeah, Vine was 6 seconds or less. Yeah. Turns the video from the vertical shorts format into the standard YouTube video format with all the features shorts doesn't have. Huh, I'll be darned. More content is better than no content. Short, not short, I watch it all. Well, I appreciate that, Gary. How's the zine coming along? Looking forward to it. Still on track. We let's see. I believe that at this point Vince has sent off the text to Tom from the Warhammer Wednesday show. If you ever watch Warhammer Wednesday with Vince and Tom, that's Tom. And Tom is our developer. So for years, developer in my mind meant programmer, right? But in game design, you've got game designers and game developers. And the developers are basically the people who go through and do all the math and try to break things, at least as far as the way we're doing it. So, Vince and I come up with the concept and all that kind of stuff of the game and everything, and then Vince does the majority of the writing, and then every week he bounces stuff off of me, and we go back and forth, and I go, well, this I don't know, and I'm like, because I'm kind of like the everyman in this situation where like he comes in with a design and then bounces it off of me, and if I go, well, that doesn't. I don't. Then maybe that's what other people might think who, when they first stumble across it themselves, whoops, and that kind of stuff. So, anyway, we go back and forth and iterate like that, but Vince really does the pretty much all the heavy lifting as far as the actual game design and writing is concerned. The rules design, where I do the visual design. But before we get to the visual design part, after everything's writ, then it goes over to Tom, who then basically just tries to break everything. Like, yeah, but what if I take 4 of these guys? What happens then? Or what if I do this? Or what in like, and so it's a lot of not only play testing, that's obviously going on as well, but there's also just a lot of math and a lot of like spreadsheety kind of stuff where you're like, oh, if it, blah, 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 blah. Oh, that's now I've made this thing unkillable, or this thing can't win, or whatever, those types of things. So it's a lot of math and all that kind of stuff. So that's where we're at right now with the game, the micro game that'll be in the zine. I'm also, as this is going on, I'm working with the artist who's going to do the cover and a couple of internal bits. And we've already figured out the overall kind of layout and the font size and all that kind of stuff. So that's all nailed down. So yeah, we're in progress. It still should be coming out in November. I'm painting Marvis Crisis Protocol. I'm painting Marvel Crisis Protocol figures and the boys. Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't know the boys are out there. So I'm considering an efficient way to paint the brighter colors. Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Let's see here. I think I wish shorts had better content. Most of them don't have content that makes super sense to me at that duration. Who do I see in the wargaming space that uses shorts the best? Probably Mavericks Paints. Is it Mavericks Paints or Maverick Paints? Whatever. Super nice guy. I met him at Adepticon, actually. But he does these like super fast, they're not even really tutorials. I think what he's done there to some degree is he's cracked a bit of the code. People don't want to watch a long tutorial because, like, if they're like, oh, I need to learn how to do this. How do you paint a Necron? How do you paint a power sword, right? If you're going to be doing it, then you want to watch a 15-minute video, 20-minute video, whatever. Some people even like to watch like super crazy long tutorials where they're actually showing you like all of the like, okay, and now we're going to paint the pants blue. And then instead of going, okay, we paint the pants blue and then go on the next step, you watch them paint the entirety of the pants blue. And maybe it gets sped up and it's in fast time or whatever. But there's some people who are like into that, but they're few and far between. And then there's other people who are like, I'm glad to hear these tutorials are out here because I want to watch them eventually, when I have to actually paint that Necron or paint that power sword or whatever. That's cool, but I don't want to watch them necessarily right when they come out. But when you show somebody, hey, I started with this model and then a minute later it's done and you get to see the whole thing kind of quick, people will watch that, especially if it's well done. And he's, yeah, like I said, Maverick's been doing nice work. Yeah, like he basically, like he started doing, reels and shorts and all that kind of stuff and grew his channel to, like, he grew his channel to over 100,000 subscribers before he had even, like, he had only made like 3 regular videos and had like 100,000 subscribers, but it was because he had been doing shorts so much and all that kind of stuff. And just because he was doing it all, well and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. Now, it's not something where you can go, oh, I'm going to do that exact same thing. It's not a tutorial per se. It's just like, it's kind of like some of them that I've seen him do are a little bit like the eBay miniature rescue stuff that Casey does. It's just he gets it done in a minute, which, people are like, I want to watch this. Okay, cool. I see this model. Okay, he stripped it. Okay, he did this. Okay, he did that. Oh, that's kind of neat. Okay, cool, great. And it's done. Great. And that's, for a lot of people, that's what they kind of want to see because it's not, again, you're stuck at a minute or less. So you kind of have to sort of self-edit. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Did you see Goober's synthetic versus sable brushes under the microscope vid? I have seen the thumbnail like I don't know how many times, but I haven't had the chance to sit down and watch it yet. Your ability to talk and read in response is amazing. One of the best creators I've seen live. Well, I appreciate that, Blake. That's very nice of you to say. I've been doing it for a long time. I guess there's that. I don't know. There are times when I feel like I'm way behind. Like, you know, this is... I'm not directly talking about a Games Workshop product today, so therefore the views are a little lower than they are sometimes. Sometimes they're like, you know, 400 to 500 people watching, and then the chat goes by a lot quicker or whatever. But it's, yeah. I've had people see like, I don't know how you can talk for 2 hours straight. And I'm like, I don't know, I've been doing it for a long time, so it doesn't seem to be as big of a problem. When I stream, it's like generally almost 3 hours straight. Sometimes there are short breaks when I'm painting on Twitch, just because I'm like, I really need to get this one thing done, so I have to be quiet and hold my breath, otherwise I won't get it right or whatever. And not usually eyes, because I don't generally paint eyes, but November release, happy birthday to me. Indeed. Like the plan is that basically going forward, our periodical, our zine that we're going to put out every year is going to be coming out pretty much in November. So yeah, basically it won't be a printed thing. Like you won't be able to buy a print version, unfortunately. Like you can buy a print version of you know, Majestic 13, or you can buy a print version of the other games. And it's because it will be saddle stitch, which basically sounds like it has yarn in it or something, but it doesn't. Saddle stitch, like, I don't know, what is this? Some catalog from B&H Photo that I got relatively recently, but it is saddle stitch, which is to say it is folded, like the piece of paper it was printed on is like this, right? And each of them. And then it's folded, and then there's like a staple here and a staple here, right? Comic books are what they were you would, if you think of, like, that's what saddle stitch is. Now, when you have a book and the end is squared off and it's like a glued thing, like Majestic 13, so that is what they call perfect bound, right? So it's glued and it's squared off and stuff like that. Wargame Vault can do perfect bound, but they can't do saddle stitch anymore. Oops. They used to be able to. But evidently saddle stitch machines are a real pain in the butt to keep working or something. I don't know. So they got rid of it maybe 3-4 years ago, which is a bummer. So it will be formatted so that you can print it easily at home if you want to, or take it to your local Kinko's if they still have those anymore, or whatever. It will be formatted so that it fits. You get it printed, let's say, an 8.5 by 11, and you print it sort of sideways, and then it makes a little booklet. You fold it, and then it's 5.5 by 8.5. Kind of like it's the same overall format as Space Weirdos or Sword Weirdos and things like that. It'll be just all black and white. Print it yourself at home, or like I said, take it to a place and print it, or just leave it in PDF format or whatever, and it'll be cheap, and people will hopefully enjoy it. And there will be a standalone micro game in there, and then also some add-on components for some of our previous games, and that's the plan pretty much every year, is to crank that thing out in the fall. So glad to hear Tom is involved in the new zine. Tom is good people. Tom has been our developer since we started. He's in the credits for Rain and Hell, Oculus Spear, I think. Yeah, Oculus Spear, Space Station Zero, Majestic 13. Yeah, he's been our we've been paying him to be our developer and to break the game after Vince gets done with it since the beginning. And he is good people. I like long videos. They keep me company while I'm building and painting, soldering. Yeah, I mean, I have no plans to ever stop making the normal YouTube videos, but if I can get, if doing some shorts and not too many, like, again, when I'm at a convention, I might do several in a row, but, you know, I haven't done one since I got back from Gen Con. In a perfect world, I would try to do one a week as well, like maybe like on a Tuesday or something like that, or a Wednesday, and then the big video on Friday. But doing a good one is hard. Like if I just wanted to be like, here's some stuff I'm working on or whatever, people might like that. That's a possibility, and it's not super crazy difficult to do. So I might start doing a little bit of that. But anything to just sort of get it so that it maybe gets thrown in front of more people who are like, oh, this is interesting, and then they want to come and subscribe. But again, I don't know about, like, I put some of them up, I think, on, did I put them up on Instagram? I know I put a couple of those up on Threads during Gen Con as well, just like, why not? But anyway, we shall see. Shorts that pull you into a larger video are pretty good. Yeah, there's something to be said for that too, for sure. Put on a sizzle reel of a 25-year-old goopy model being scrubbed clean and then jump to a super done paint job and throw in and watch the full video. Yeah, no, that's true. That's a good point. Very good point. I was thinking about doing a shorts only channel and then calling it What's in My Shorts, but I think that might suffer from the same fate as your video on stripping. It's true. Then you're not wrong. I don't paint eyes either, but would a colored wash make for good eyeliner or shadow? I don't understand makeup stuff. I don't know. That's a good question. I have a tendency to, whatever I shaded the, generally, whatever I shaded the skin with, I generally use just more of that in the eye sockets to be the shadow, basically, you know. Now, if I was shading the skin very, very, very light, like if I was going for like, I don't know, painting like a Scottish Highlander and I wanted them to be like very pale because they're like a redhead or something like that, I would use like maybe a thinned down flesh wash over like a lighter opaque, you know, Caucasian-y pinky kind of skin, right? But then I still might use a sepia in the eye sockets kind of because it'll be a little bit darker then, but it depends. Saddle stitch machines are a pain in the butt, says Vincent. Yeah, that's what I'd heard, is that's why they got rid of them, unfortunately. Kinko's worked for them for years. It was a great company till it became shipping. Yeah, yeah. Our first game, not me and Vince, but me and my friend Peter, our very first game that we made back in 1992, we printed at a local Kinko's and like constructed it ourselves and all that stuff and worked on it the night before Gen Con. Like Gen Con started on a Thursday. This is back in 92 when Gen Con was still in Milwaukee. And we went to the Kinko's at like, I don't know, 6 or 7 o'clock at night. I want to say like 7 o'clock at night. Oh, maybe it wasn't. It was later than that. I don't know. I just know we watched the sun come up through the windows at Kinko's, which was not great. We were there forever. And we made 24 copies of our game. And then went home. He went to his house. I went to my house. We both showered and whatever. You know, we had our stuff packed, and then we got in the car and drove to Milwaukee and went to Gen Con. And we didn't have a booth, but there was another company out of West Allis. It was like a game store that had a booth, and we paid them $25 to put our games in their booth so that we would do demos in the free gaming area and then tell people where they could go pick the game up if they wanted to. You know, and so, yeah. So I do miss me some Kinko's, I'm not going to lie. Will you have guest contributors to the zine? I don't know. That's a good question. We haven't thought that far in advance. Not the first one, for sure, but maybe down the road. It's possible. Saddle stitch finishers need to be leveled to match the office floor. I don't usually, as I'm setting up for our office, not yours. Gotcha. What I'm working on, videos from Uncle Adam are on auto watch. More, please. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea. I should probably do that, honestly. I really enjoy your shorts that you grabbed from Twitch. I've been thinking about trying to do more of those too. There's a new feature in OBS that I need to figure out a little bit more, but like the problem with trying to make those like grabs from Twitch and then bring them into shorts is the verticality versus the non-verticality of Twitch. But there's a thing in OBS where you can basically make a second, how am I trying to say this? You can make like a second feed where you can make a vertical version of what you're doing and kind of move things. It's a whole thing. The problem is I don't record my streams directly to my local machine. I probably ought to if I want to keep doing this like that. I should record them, be able to edit stuff I need, and then get rid of them so I'm not taking up, because like 3 hours of recording is a lot. Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out because there's got to be some better ways to do it. I haven't quite got there yet. Tuesday night short to highlight the Monday night paint progress. I mean, that's something. Good morning from Oregon. Getting back into building and painting minis for the first time in over 3 years. Nice. Built the Warcry Huanchi Lizard Boys box and the Vampires from Crypt of Blood. The Vampires from Crypt of Blood are pretty cool. That's the Crimson Court, basically, from Warhammer Underworld. I've been listening to this podcast called the 40K Badcast, I think is what they're called, or something like that. And they frequently refer to Warhammer Underworlds as Warhammer Underpants. And so it's, anyway. Watching the sun come up while at Kinko's is a vibe. I mean, yeah. And it was, so we had not gotten any sleep. And I'm driving, like we're driving from, here, about 90 miles south to Milwaukee. And I am tired because we didn't sleep the entire night. And, so we're driving, and it's not even that long of a drive, like hour 45 minutes max. But just try. And so finally we were just like, I'm like, I'm going to drive off the road here or something like that. And I had a manual transmission car, and Peter didn't drive stick. So, we basically just opened up all the windows and then just started singing 99 bottles of beer on the wall, like at the top of our lungs. And that's why I'm still here today, is because we did that on almost the entirety of the way to Milwaukee, so that I didn't fall asleep and go off the road. The 1 year that I drove to Indianapolis for Gen Con, it was me and my friend Tick, and the night before we were leaving, this is back when we used to still leave on Sunday. Now we leave on Monday. It's way better. But we would leave on Sunday, and that well, it's early days of Gen Con, I bumped into a guy I hadn't seen in a decade, guy from here in town who now lives in NYC. And so we bumped into each other at Gen Con, so we wanted to catch up. So Saturday night, we caught up like after dinner and walked around the convention and talked about stuff and all that kinds of jazz. And he's much more into RPGs and D&D and stuff like that. And so he was showing me stuff there, and I was showing him stuff over in the like wargaming area. Dealer hall was closed, but we were talking about people who were actually playing the games and stuff. And then we went to a bar with some other guy, and then some other people showed up, and it was just, and then we closed the bar at like 2 a.m. or whatever. And then we went back to the convention and then played Werewolf until like my head hit the pillow at 4:30 in the morning back in the hotel room. And then got up at 8 because that's when everybody woke up. And so that's when so I didn't have much sleep. And then we packed everything up, got into our cars. I went back through the convention hall once before getting back into the cars, and then drove away. And we were just barely at the city limits outside of Indianapolis. And I was already like doing that thing where you hit the wiggly strip on the side of the road. And so we pulled over to a gas station, and I got a sugar-free Monster, the big metal can, the big white metal can, and also a 5-hour energy drink. And I drank both of those, expecting it to go real poorly, and it went amazing. I had no problems. I wasn't jittery. I wasn't seeing things. Drove all the way back 6 hours to Wisconsin. Had no problems. Went to bed at a normal time that night. It worked astoundingly well. And I think it's because I don't drink that Monster stuff on the regular. I think that's what it is, honestly. But yeah, that was there was a vibe. You want to talk about a vibe? Wisconsin needs to get more love for its contributions to tabletop gaming and cheese. That's true. I mean, it's true. Like I said, going to Dragonfall this October is in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, which is where it's where TSR started, aka that's where Dungeons and Dragons was invented. Basically, was in Lake Geneva. Gen Con was originally called Geneva Convention because it was a kind of more military miniatures convention, and it was in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And it was kind of, because Lake Geneva, Switzerland or whatever. But yeah, so it was a whole thing. Yeah, there's a lot of tabletop gaming going on in the Midwest in general, but Wisconsin, a lot of it as well. Will there be advertising in the zine? I don't think so. I mean, we haven't really thought about that, to be fair. Don't forget Culver's Burgers. Culver's is pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Will the zine have a letters page? Not the first one, probably, I don't think, but I've kicked around that idea because it reminds me of like comic books, you used to have the letters page. I don't know, that's a good question. I'll have to mention it to Vince tonight, because we'll be having our normal Sunday night meeting. I had my first ever cheese curds when I visited Milwaukee for the first time. It will be forever in my memory. Well, cheese curds are pretty good. As someone starting to get into YouTube, I greatly appreciate the lack of obnoxious YouTube flash and noise on your channel. Got to figure out how to make wholesome shorts. Yeah, I think I'm maybe a little too old for flash. And I don't like loud noises, so there's that too. Good morning from Vancouver. Another day of my Death Guard full faction speedrun. Nice. Premiere Pro has an auto reframe function you could use for the short format videos. Yeah, I just really hate Adobe Premiere Pro. I don't know why. It's like the videos that I do, all my editing that I do have been doing for years and years and years is using software called Vegas Pro, which is not industry standard by any stretch of the imagination for sure, but it works pretty well for me and I've been pretty happy with it for the most part. It sometimes gets a little crashy, not as crashy as Premiere does, from what I've been told, but it does get a little crashy from time to time. But the shorts that I did actually when I was at Gen Con, I did in Final Cut Pro 10 or whatever on my Mac laptop. And I'm liking Final Cut Pro quite a bit. Final Cut Pro's got a 90-day free trial, so I'll still be able to use it this upcoming week when I'm in Nova. So I'm going to probably do some of that. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. So far, so good, though. I do like the thing about Final Cut Pro that's nice is also because it's made by Apple and it's like more well-known and more widely used than Vegas Pro. There's a lot more tutorials out there. There's a lot more plugins. There's a lot more everything available for it. It's same with like, Adobe Premiere, admittedly, but yeah, I'm trying to get away from Adobe products as much as I really can because I just don't like I'm paying this subscription every month and I've been paying it for years and it's a giant pain in my butt. However, yeah, we'll see. Good Kinko story, love it. Nice. Cheese is a food group? I think so. I also saw Watching the Sun Come Up at Kinko's open for the Gin Blossoms back in 98. I thought that was a Gin Blossoms song. Was it a band? Sounds like a song. I'd buy a t-shirt of that with concert dates that were just the major conventions of the year. Nice. Morning from small town Saskatchewan. Building and painting Necromunda terrain today. Necromunda terrain is cool. I like it a lot. I once drove 24 hours straight, fueled by monsters and 5-hour energy. I haven't had either since. That's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, I'm assuming you stopped, obviously, to get gas and to pee, probably. But still, yeah, no, I don't like to drive. I am not, like, I'm fine driving around town or whatever. That's fine. Don't get me wrong. But long distances, I don't like it. That 6.5 hour trip to and from Indianapolis, that's the longest I've ever driven. Like, I do not like taking long car. Like, I don't mind being in the car for long trips. It's okay, but I don't want to drive them. I just don't like it. So I'm always amazed by, like, when people get rich, like really rich, and then they go out and they buy these super fancy cars. I'd be like, if I was really rich, I would never drive again. I would have somebody whose job it was to drive me around. That would be awesome. Anyway, different strokes. I crashed my car into a highway barrier driving back from Detroit Metro Airport 2 months ago. I fell asleep. Maybe I needed an energy drink. Finally got my car back yesterday. Well, I'm glad to hear you're okay, for sure. But yeah, no, driving while tired is a real pain. It's not good. I drank a 5-hour power once to stop myself from falling asleep after a concussion. Would not recommend. That doesn't sound good, no. I had no-dose once, years and years ago. when I was working as a security guard on a Sunday morning. It was a nice, warm, sunny Sunday morning, and I'm in the security guard booth, and the sun is beating in on me. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever, and I had been up until 3 o'clock, or not even 3. I think I stayed up all night, actually, because I was a bouncer as well. So sometimes what would happen is that my security guard schedule would I would end up working at 6 a.m. on Sunday after working until 3 a.m. Well, technically on Sunday, but starting Saturday, going into Sunday, being a bouncer at this bar. And so one time I was at the gas station getting breakfast on my way into work, and I just bought a bottle of No-Dose, and that sucked. That was no good. That was, talk about twitchy. Oh my goodness. I don't think I hallucinated, but I might have a little bit. It was not great. So that's why I was wary of the monster, but the monster is way different than the other stuff. I'm downright afraid to drive. I mean, I'm not afraid. I just don't like doing it. It's just, I don't know. I'm from Iowa. I love visiting Wisconsin. Noble Night Games is pretty cool. Yeah, they are. I've not yet ever been to the store, but I've definitely, their website and all that kind of stuff. And I've seen them at conventions as well. But I've never yet been, especially to the new store, because they moved. They used to be in Janesville, and now they're, I think, in Madison or real near Madison. Archvillain is doing an amazing Italian circus-themed fantasy set next month. Does anyone know if a mini-agnostic set suitable for this kind of vibe? I mean, there's Carnivale, but I don't know if that's... I mean, any game is mini-agnostic if you believe in yourself, but maybe Carnivale. One of my last videos was about a butt burner on a bike. Fell asleep 3 times on my motorcycle. That's no good. Yeah. Let's see here. What else? Shout out Vegas Pro for the win. I mean, Vegas Pro is pretty good. I've been generally pretty happy with it. I use Foxit as my PDF reader. It's free and way slimmer than Adobe. Oh my God, the new Adobe reader, like they just moved everything around for no reason. Like I opened it up one day and I'm like, this is new. Why? And I'm just trying to find a thing where you like set the size where you see the entire page on your screen as opposed to being zoomed in or whatever. And I couldn't find it. I'm looking all over it. Well, as it turned out, where it's normally like up here on the top of your screen, now it's down over here for no reason. Why did you put it over there? I don't know. Just seemed like a good idea at the time. I hate Adobe so much. Anyway, I really need to up my game for my channel. I use OBS, PowerPoint, and Blender exclusively. The product is not good. I mean, software's software, I mean, it's not... Software's not going to fix a channel, if you're not... Like, if you're not happy with your content, work on your content before you start getting new software, I would tell you that. It's almost never your camera. It's almost never your mic. And sometimes it is your microphone. Sometimes your content can be great, but if people can't hear you because, you're using the on-camera mic or whatever, you may want to look at a microphone. I'm not saying you need to look at a microphone. I'm just saying, in general, buying something doesn't fix it. It's the content that you want to work on. Getting my copy of Combat Zone tomorrow. Super excited. Nice. Let's see here. As a truck driver, I won't share sleep-depriving stories, but I will say that give trucks room. Yeah, no, I can understand that. I think the guy that made those rumble strips on the side of the road, I would not be here. I think my father-in-law was trying to kill me. Yeah, no, those rumble strips are important. When I was a little kid, so they didn't used to have rumble strips on the side of the road so much, but they would have rumble strips that went across the road as you were getting closer and closer to a stop sign. Not like in town, but like out in like county roads and stuff like that. You're like heading towards a stop sign and you think you're on the highway, but you're really not. You're on a county road. And eventually there'll be a stop sign. You have to wait so you don't get hit by someone going the other way. Well, they would put these rumble strips that would go across the road. And it would usually be like 1 or 2. Or was it 2 or 3? Anyway, I don't remember. My little brother and I didn't see those things. We didn't know about them, but we would be driving someplace with my dad, and my mom as well there. And you know how like truck drivers, they got that thing that they pull down that makes the horn go, that like that. Well, so my dad would be driving, and then he would just pantomime, like reach up and just be like that as we would go over across one of those rumble strips. And my brother and I were absolutely flummoxed. We had no idea how he was doing it. And then, of course, like we'd be like, do it again. He's like, well, I can't do it. I don't want to do it right now. I mean, it's, because there was not another rumble strip. But yeah, it took a long time for us as kids to figure out that's how he was doing it. Is that he would just wait till we get to one of those rumble strips, and he'd be like, and it was, I mean, little kids are dumb. Don't get me wrong. But still, it was. I still remember that to this day. No dose ain't no joke. Yeah, I didn't use it again after that. I missed Jolt Cola. Oh yeah. Me and two friends drove to Grinnell, Iowa to pick up our other friend who had like, it was either a 1 week or a 2 week like Thanksgiving break during like our freshman year of college. I think it was our freshman year of college. And my mom was very concerned that we were going to fall asleep and drive off the road. So she went and got us a 6-pack of Jolt Cola. Like, all right. So we had this Jolt Cola in the van or whatever, and we're driving, and my friend Mike is driving. And it was like, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm like, I'm kind of thirsty. I'll have a Jolt Cola. And I had never had one before. I was a person at the time who drank Coke like all the time. And so I was like, oh, Jolt Cola, it should be fine. And I drank it, and I got so twitchy, like, you know, when you get that like kind of bouncing leg, you know, you're sitting there and your knees kind of bouncing. But I couldn't stop it. I was super twitchy. It was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was just like, okay, well, that's too much caffeine. Jeez Louise. So yeah, I had pretty intense hallucinations on a ski trip after slamming no dose. I think I probably took 5 or 6 tablets. Yeah, I've from what I can understand, that can happen. Let's see here. I feel much safer driving in Indianapolis. Indianapolis is not bad. Any game is media agnostic if you believe in yourself. It's true. It's true. Good luck at the Nova Open Painting Comp. Hope you have a great show. Well, I hope so too. The painting competition, it's my first ever painting competition. I've never entered before. Secondly, it is an open competition, meaning a bunch of different things. Number one, you can use whatever kind of models you want. It's not like, Golden Demon where they have to be Games Workshop models because they sponsor it. I get it. As it turns out, it is a Games Workshop model, but but the other thing that's nice about it too is that it is, like, as I've never entered a competition before, I will be entering in the apprentice category. So there's apprentice, journeyman, and masters. So if you've never entered any competition before, then you get thrown into apprentice. So I would be going up against other people who also are, I mean, I've been painting for 20 years, but this is literally the first time I've tried to do display painting. And this is the literally first time I've ever entered a competition. So I will be entering in the apprentice area. The judges, if they look at it and go, well, this is obviously not apprentice work, they can bump you up if they want to. So there's that too. My good friend Emily, when she first entered pre-pandemic, I want to say 2019, her first entry ever, they were like, we're going to put this into journeyman and then one of the judges who knew her was like, well, this is her first competition ever. She just started painting a year and a half ago, and they were like, oh, okay, cool. And then so she did very well, but she was in the right category. Most of their painting competitions, everyone's in the same lump. So you're going up against people who are, international award winners, and then there's you or whatever. And so I like that they kind of separated that. That's one of the few competitions I know of that does that. So that's cool. And again, you can paint whatever. I mean, they do have categories like single figure and squad and diorama and junk like that. But then they also, the much larger end, it's again, apprentice, journeyman, and master. So that's the only reason that I'm really entering. Also, it's not like, okay, well, you entered in apprentice single figure. There's a first place, second place, and third place, and everybody else can. It's instead done off of points. So they have a rubric of like how the things get scored. You might have 3 or 4 people who get gold, and 6 people who get silver, and 2 people who get, whatever. And so that's kind of nice too. There is a best of category for each of these too. So there is a person who is like, this is the best one that was in there, but it's also not like 3 people win and everybody else goes home. So that's kind of nice too, but it's not a participation award either particularly. So there's that good too. I mean, Gen Con does the same thing where they have you could have multiple people getting gold, multiple people getting silver, etc. And then they have a best in category. But I don't know if they do I don't think they do the master, journeyman, and apprentice categories as well. I'm not sure. Putting together MDF terrain. Sometimes these stupid cutouts break a small spike or something when I pop them out using the end of a brush for most of the work. Am I doing it wrong? I don't know. I haven't built nearly as much MDF as I probably like. There's so much of it out there, and I own a bunch of it. And I've only built some. Like I haven't built everything, but it kind of depends. Some companies do it where punching it out, you're less likely to break. I mean, one thing to think about doing is just getting one of those little tiny mini saws in there. You might want to try to do that. Depends on the company. If they're laser cut, you shouldn't need to. But if it's CNC cut, then sometimes those tabs that hold things in there can be a good deal thicker. So that's something to pay attention to. Growing up, my family drove everywhere, and either we camped along the way or stayed in motels if the weather was bad. It traveled across country 4 times that way from Ontario to Alberta. Nice. Well, folks, it's time for me to go. I can tell that my wife has started mowing the lawn, too. You might have heard the noise in the background. I used to do all the lawn mowing, but she seems to like it or something. I don't know. I still do all the snow blowing for the most part, unless I'm not home. Like if I'm traveling, then she'll do it. But for the most part, I do that. But she likes to do the lawn mowing now, and so I'm absolutely happy for her to do it. So I want to say thanks again to everybody who came by and hung out. And we will be back again in 2 weeks, and we'll do this again. For those of you who are going to the Nova Open, I hope to see you there. Feel free to come up and say hi. What else? That's pretty much about it. Like I said, maybe, hopefully, I'll get some shorts out while I'm at Nova so you can see some of the cool stuff. There's always just a ton of really amazing looking tables and all that kind of stuff at these big conventions. So I want to try to share a whole bunch of that stuff if I can. So I'll probably put some on Adeptic. I'll probably put some on Instagram a little bit, but I'll also do, whatever. But I'll also do some shorts and try to do that as well, depending on the time, obviously, too. If I spend too long on a video, that can take too long, even if it's a minute long. Still, if there's if I put in 30 clips in a 1-minute video, that still takes some time. So we'll see how it goes. But thanks to everybody for coming out, and we'll see you again, like I said, in 2 weeks, unless I see you at Nova Open. Everybody stay safe and have a good time painting, and thanks for watching.